So this is interesting. They got the allegations and fired him, but normally there's a, a story or a report or the
Right.
allegations come out. So they got the allegations obviously internally and fired him before they even went public.
Yes. And
Whoa.
to be honest,
Uh-oh.
over the years of working in the media and around that environment, I have heard many a rumor about his ridiculous behavior. And granted, it's always rumors, so you never really know, but I've heard as little as he's a nightmare to work with, just like in diva personality, and then I've heard that he's absolutely abusive in his temperament. And I again, these are just rumors that you hear from people who've worked there and blah 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 blah. But sometimes these rumors add up, and he just got fired. So
Yo. So that's deep.
yeah.
Didn't even wait on it to hit the news. Matt
No.
Lauer
Well, so
fired.
my point being about the rumors is maybe something's been brewing behind the scenes for longer than we know.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the breaking news of the moment. Folks, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain on all three platforms. We'll come back to that, and whatever else breaks on that, we will keep you posted. This is no time to play. Folks are getting busted. There also is a gathering storm around John Conyers, so there must be some more gravity to the allegations against him. It looks like he was going to survive, I guess. But I think a third person, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, a third person has come out, and whom Nancy Pelosi referred to as an icon on Sunday may in fact himself be or have to resign. That is a current conversation. As I said the other day, I expect the Congressional Black Caucus is involved in this, and if they find that John Conyers needs to resign, then that's very, very serious and probably quite, it pretty much implicates him in a great deal of wrongdoing. That's no small thing if the CBC is asking one of its own founders to step down. So we'll see. Those are the reports. We'll see if they are going to come to fruition. But meanwhile, we've had a lot of passionate conversation over the past couple of days around the issue of Pocahontas. So we have friends and family, and for that matter, correspondents here on Make It Plain, who are indigenous people. So why not get indigenous people's genuine reaction to all of this? And most of all, why not a woman, since we're talking about Pocahontas? So joining us now, herself, we last heard her on Thanksgiving Day, Queen Yonasda is here with us. Queen, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
Hahani Washday. Good morning. How are you doing, Mark?
Just fine. Pleasure to have you. Are you in the car yet?
I'm in the car.
Where's baby?
I listen to you every morning.
Where's baby boy?
He's in back.
Hey, man. What's happening? All right. Tell him I said hey and give him a kiss for me. So look, let me just give you the mic. Rather than just ask you something, I mean, let me just see where your head is at, how you even want to start on this, because this dude, he's obsessed.
Oh my God! You know what? It doesn't surprise me, but it does surprise me because here it is once again. I'm like, all right, maybe he's gonna probably do this right by just honor the code talkers, the Navajo code talkers. Just honor them, and then and that's it. Just let them talk, But no, once again,
yeah, they code talkers. Just let them talk. Shut up. Right. You're right.
Yeah,
good point.
Exactly. And they. I mean, when you look at the history of the Navajo code talkers, and you look at the history of indigenous people, my mother was a part of the boarding schools, and so the boarding schools of Andrew Jackson, which, as a matter of fact, there was a picture of Andrew Jackson in the back, who actually signed the Indian Removal Act. So then you have Andrew Jackson, who forced Native children to be in boarding schools, to be stripped from their culture, stripped from their language. And so for the Navajos to be asked to be a part of World War II, for the coding, to speak the language, was a great honor. And it's one of those things, and throughout, American history, is like, wow, here it is, they're able to speak their language, the Dene language, to be able to fight a war. And so and they're doing a museum, but here comes, he's so uneducated about people, period. If you're not a rich white guy and
Right.
he doesn't know anything about anyone or even the fabric of America, which are indigenous people, and so for him to talk about Elizabeth Warren for several years, calling her a Pocahontas is such a racial slur. But the reason for, and I just want to give just a tad bit history. The reason for it is such a derogatory term that has been used is because Pocahontas, first off, was a very young girl. I believe she was about between 12 and 13 years old when she was pulled by John Smith. So it wasn't the Disney version. It was a more horrific version that Disney didn't talk about. And so she was pulled, and of course she, as a young girl, she's intrigued by new people, and she's young. And so she was used, she was kidnapped and taken to Europe. And in order for Europeans to come to America, there was actually a lot of brochures and pamphlets of, look, you could get you a Pocahontas. You could get you a little Native American. So they used her as a sexual connotation, and that's the reason why that, using it in that term and calling people Pocahontas is that, once again, that white man over sexualizing indigenous women. And so in a time that right now it's that Me Too everyone's talking about now,
Right,
Matt Lauer,
right.
which you guys just broke in. And then, but with over 20,000 missing indigenous women that a lot of people are not really talking about in Canada, they're being shipped to Europe. So it's not like something from the 1700s. This is still happening in 2017. So I am outraged, as always, especially with that terminology of using, calling any woman Pocahontas if she's not Pocahontas. Pocahontas, may she rest in paradise. But her legacy of what of who she was, was demented by white America,
Yeah,
and as well as Europeans.
yeah, and honestly, I think it's sort of a double thing with him. He went in there, saw some Native Americans, and the only thing he can think of is Pocahontas.
Yeah.
It's like it triggers him like Rorschach. But then on the other hand, to me, it's also somewhat Freudian. And you spoke to her young age. He's been into young women, going in
Yeah.
dressing rooms. A teenager accused him of rape. His man Roy Moore, we know what he's all about. And
Yeah.
so when these men, I was saying earlier in the show, I think when these men say Pocahontas, they see the Disneyized version, Disneyfied version, which is a sexual fantasy to a lot of these men. And it's really sick. Now, do you know anything about even her name? I mean, was Pocahontas her real name, or she had another name? I think I read somewhere.
I think it was because I think it was Pocahontas or something like that. But yeah, I believe that was her name. Like it was a longer version of it, but I believe it was Pocahontas something. And so, when you look at the over-sexualizing of Native women has been happening ever since Columbus came. It was like, okay, let's, get you a squaw. The terminology squaw is not a good name. That means basically that's like a whore, and like a native whore. And so you have like so many businesses and monuments, or like the mountains and that are called squaw, like Squaw Peaks in Arizona that my mother fought really hard to get that name changed in Arizona, that mountain. And so, we have been, ever since Columbus, the over sexualizing of indigenous women, and the way, and just even today, there's such a high rate of Native women that are being sexually abused, sexually assaulted, and a part of the sex trafficking. And I was thinking about this whole Libya slave trade that's happening, and someone was like, where are all the women? Well, do you really want to know where the women are at? Because when we look at slavery and sex trafficking, it's always the woman first that get it the worst.
Yeah.
And so even in 2017, it's still the same way.
Yeah.
And so in the time that we're in, Donald Trump needs to be impeached. And the fact that he even would say that and even still call out, and use Elizabeth Warren as his opportunity to okay, this is going to be my opportunity to go and make it about me again. No, it's not about you, boo.
Because I'm even wondering, we were wondering aloud earlier, Queen Yonasda with us, folks, we were wondering aloud earlier how this event even came to be. It's almost as if it was staged just so he could say Pocahontas. And then the story in the New York Times came out last night about how paranoid he still is about everything. He's still obsessing over Obama's birth certificate. He's running around saying now that that's not him on the Access Hollywood tape. So he's having an utter meltdown. And so you have to wonder whether or not this event, because somebody pointed out, this is not the first time the Code Talkers have come to the White House. Was this a special date or anniversary for the Code Talkers? Do you know?
I believe that they had them. I don't know if it's a special time, but I know that it's an opportunity for them to come. I believe they come up with every single president that comes.
Okay.
And that they are wanting to raise money for a museum. And I've met them several occasions in Navajo Nation, and it's just, as a matter of fact, speaking of the Navajo Code Talkers, they gifted the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan a Navajo Code Talkers blanket. And so in Navajo Nation, and you can look at it on YouTube when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came to the Navajo Nation. And so, they are brilliant, very intelligent, and they are wanting to have a museum right now. So, and a lot of people are saying, well, it seems like they're defending the president. Well, they're military men, so whoever is the chief, as the president, if they were taught as military men, so, we're going to respect whoever is in office, and that's what it is. And however their political views, they might, speak it amongst their family or whatever, but probably not on the platform that they're on.
Well,
and
not only that, I mean, they've deserved dignity and honor. So whoever the president is should honor them. I think it's more about that.
Yeah.
And they'll accept an honor.
Exactly.
But so I'm going to ask you a question. Queen Yonasda with us. We had one of our Lakota brothers who often calls from New Mexico. David called early this morning, and he said, Mark, because I said to him, I feel sorry for those elderly gentlemen. I'm like, but he said don't, because he said they probably left there laughing at Trump because that's kind of what Native Americans is. He? Do you agree with that? You think that's probably?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Because
we have a really great Native humor, and and I bet you, it was funny. My Dene, the people is named the Dene people, and the language is the Dene people. So my instead of Navajo, I forgot what Navajo really means, but they always changing our name of our tribe.
Yeah.
But my Dene sister, she said, she made a meme of her speaking in Dene language, and she said, "This is probably what they said. Who is this orange man talking to us with this disrespect?"
Well, if he had been the first off the boat, we wouldn't be saying pale face. We'd be saying orange face.
Orange man, orange face, right?
Orange face speak with forked tongue. But you know what's interesting about it? A lot of the athletes don't want to go to the White House now. These honored gentlemen go, and it really backfires. I mean, what he meant for bad ends up hurting him more. People are all over this dude for saying this.
Yeah.
Huckabee can't defend it. So he tries to do something at their expense, but in a way, they got the last laugh because look at the heat he's taking. And also, honestly, does this not, as we're doing at this very moment and is happening all across mainstream media, does this not give us an opportunity to educate people about the real history? When's the last time we did that on Thanksgiving. Nobody did it.
Yeah.
Now people were forced this week after Thanksgiving to talk about the true history of the indigenous people because Dum Dum is up there saying Pocahontas. So it's still all works for
This is
good.
Native American Heritage Month.
It sure is.
This is still Native American Heritage Month. So, everyone has to re-educate or even educate themselves who the First Nations were and are of United States. And this is a great opportunity for not just myself, but Josh D. Ross was just on MSNBC yesterday. And
Oh, he was? Okay, good.
Yeah, that he smashed it. There's already memes about what he said. And so, I mean, and there's so many other Native curators that are just speaking about this on these type of platforms. And so this is like I always said, President Trump is a necessary evil. He's necessary because he's bringing out the best and the worst of Americans. And so it's good to know, like, all right, who's our people and who's not, who's your neighbor and that you thought was, and then on top of it, how did you view your American dream? Because really, as far as I know, I never knew about privilege. I know I was blessed, but I never knew about privilege, and I think that also too is, for those that felt that they had a certain privilege are now getting all a wake up call.
Yeah.
So I think, so it's a good time. It's a really good time. As myself, as a freedom fighter, I always said I feel like this is Ali and Frazier.
Yeah. Well, as it says in Scripture, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, and so
exactly.
And so that's what we claim even at this hour in this situation. But folks, don't discount what I'm saying though. There's a little hebephilia, pedophilia going on here with this whole Pocahontas fantasy thing that this dude can't seem to let go of, and we respect the indigenous people. We respect what these individuals did, and just to draw an analogy, World War II, we can talk about the Tuskegee Airmen, two groups of people, Tuskegee Airmen and Navajo Code Talkers, who gave their service and lives for this country, and yet still have not been respected as either indigenous people or African people in this nation, and that's part of it. But Trump draft dodged.
Mm-hmm.
He dodged, and he got out of it, so he didn't have to go to Vietnam. And his father was arrested as a member of the Ku Klux Klan in full robe. He was robed when they had that demonstration and locked him up. So, well, Queen, thank you. I missed Big and Njasi on MSNBC. I need to go back and look it up. I'm glad my brother got that play. Is he still in New York? Where is he? Is he still in New York?
He's in Seattle right now.
Oh, he's back. Oh, he went back home. Okay.
Yeah, he's in Seattle working on some things locally, and you got to have him back on. He's always really.
Oh no, always. All of you all are always welcome here. You all are our indigenous correspondents, as a matter of fact.
That's what thank you.
you represent, and I don't think any other news entity has actual correspondents who are indigenous in the indigenous community. How many times y'all turn on television and see an anchor or a news reporter, anybody on TV talking and representing and being of the indigenous community? We need much more of that, and I'm glad you.
You're right, and that's one of my biggest things for 2018 is to really push to these major networks to begin to hire. Like I said, my mother was the first Native American to work for NBC, but I think she was also may have been the last, and that was in 1976.
Right,
and so it's also against the law too.
Yeah,
when you look at so
discrimination.
So I'm gonna be pushing in 2018.
Indeed. Love you, sister. Y'all
on
baby boy on the way to. Tell me again, what grade is he in?
He is he's in the first grade. I just dropped him off.
Oh, he's out. Okay.
To your show every morning, and if I do not have it on, he's like, you got to turn on Mark Thompson. That's how he gets his news to share with his students.
He don't think his Uncle Matsumelo's crazy.
Oh no, he doesn't. He loves you. He
Yep.
absolutely loves you. He
Yep.
listens to you, and he's always talking about how we got to impeach Trump and
Get ready for impeachment.
get ready for impeachment.
When it,
and
I
then,
don't
I want to tell you,
Go ahead.
I want to tell your callers, your listeners, really quick. Please go to Free Red Fawn to sign the petition on freeing Red Fawn, our political. She's facing life in prison for protecting the water in Standing Rock.
Yes. Free Red Fawn. Is it freeredfawn.com?
Yeah, if you
.org?
just put in Google, I think it's one or the other. You could put in Google and just put in Free Red Fawn, and I think the change.org petition comes up.
Okay, Free Red Fawn, y'all. Check that out. It's also, I've noticed it's on Facebook too. It is a change.org petition as well. So please, ma'am, please, sir, do just that. Queen Yonasda has been our very special guest. We always keep you close at hand, sister, and we appreciate you, okay?
Oh, God bless you, and thank you all and your entire staff. You all are great.
All right, take care now. Okay. All right, bye-bye. 866-99-SIRIUS. For those of you watching on video, you notice I'm wearing my Trayvon Martin hoodie. I told you I was going to a couple fundraisers last night. I invited you. But anyway, went to a fundraiser for the Trayvon Martin Foundation last night. Got my hoodie. Love it. We're rocking this. Stay tuned a little bit later. Why Hunger will be here. We'll talk about the Hungerthon that's going on. Also went to a fundraiser last night for Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. We need to support her. Give your support to her at MarilynMosby.com. I think I have that right. Let me just make sure that I got the right website for that. No, I don't have the right website. Let me get it out the right way, though. Because the Fraternal Order of Police has a super PAC that they are putting in place or have put in place to undermine our sister because she tried to prosecute the police officers who killed Freddie Gray. So that's what that's why we support her, and that's one of the reasons why I went to be a part of the fundraiser on the last night. So we were in Midtown and Lower Manhattan last night supporting these causes on Giving Tuesday. I did have it right, MarilynMosby.com. I don't know why it didn't come up the first time for me. But we endorse Marilyn Mosby. Give your support at MarilynMosby.com. She's coming on the show, too. We just couldn't work it out to get her in studio, but she's going to come and join us in the days and weeks to come. All right, let's take a break. We will be right back. We're leaving our social media. Join us on the radio, folks. Turn the radio on, especially if you are in the car. Sirius XM Progress 127 is where we are. Resistance Radio. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.
Everywhere is war.